Yeah, good morning all of you. And our today's topic is about activity diagrams. Okay. So first of all, we know what is a diagram. So every diagram chapter I am repeating the basic concepts. Diagram is a connected graph with vertices and edges. Okay, what would be the vertices here for activity diagrams? What could be the vertices in the activity diagrams? They are nothing but the states. Okay, state machine we have learned now, particular state of an object we say as the different states of a process. So I was telling you these examples earlier, like ideal state, running state, stop state. So like that, the state machine, it will be representing the state of a particular thing. Okay, so that is called a state. Okay, so each state it can be an activity. So those will become the vertices for our activity diagrams. So in this chapter, we will be learning about how to model a workflow, how to model an operation, forward and reverse engineering. Okay, since it is a diagrams chapter, we'll have three subparts in this to learn. So the first one you will have the terminology, the second one will have the common modeling techniques, and third one will have forward and reverse engineering. Okay, so let's see the introduction part of these things, and then we'll move on to the first part about the terminology and all. Okay, so coming to activity diagrams. So activity diagrams are the ones which comes under which type of diagrams, whether static diagrams or dynamic diagrams. Okay, by seeing the name activity, some action is shown there. So they comes under dynamic diagrams. They are called as behavioral diagrams. So as we have 5 behavioral diagrams or 5 dynamic diagrams, so these 5 diagrams in UML gives the dynamic aspects of the system. Okay, and one among all the 5 dynamic diagrams or behavioral or dynamic diagrams is nothing but our today's topic, that is activity diagrams. Okay, so let's see what exactly this activity diagram is. So I was telling you when we were learning about diagrams chapter and the different diagrams and all. So activity diagrams are just like ER diagrams. Okay, maybe in DBMS you might have studied entity relationship diagrams, right? How the flow, where it starts, and what is a start representation and what is a stop representation. If you have any branching, how that flow is given. Okay, so the flow control of some activity. Okay, we say it as ER diagram in DBMS, but this flow, the same thing here in UML they are called as activity diagrams. It just gives the flow chart, flow, how the flow control is given from one activity to another activity, how it is transferred. So at each state what it's happening and what control is transferred to the next one. Okay, so that is about activity diagrams. And then if we can recollect, we were learning about interaction diagrams. Interaction diagrams are nothing but sequence and collaboration diagrams. Sequence is time ordering of messages, whereas collaborations are structural organization of the diagrams. Okay, so there in interaction diagrams, what exactly the flow control is among? So I want you to answer now, anyone? How the flow control is transferred in interaction diagrams? Between whom? Yes, ma'am?
External.
No, between whom? Between among whom that flow control is shown between interaction diagrams? See, in interaction diagrams, communication of messages is done. But between whom? Yes, I want the answer from you, ma'am. Between whom the communication is done in interaction diagrams or communication diagrams? Who are the main source of things for interaction in the systems?
Use case, ma'am.
Objects, ma'am, many times I told you. Basic things, don't forget. Never classes will interact, never classes will communicate. Their instances, which are objects. Objects are the ones which will communicate. That's why in interaction diagrams, whether you take sequence or collaboration, objects are the vertices there. So that's what we say, the flow control in interaction diagrams is between objects. So the flow control is from one object to the other. But whereas in activity diagrams, the flow control is from activity to activity. That is what I want to emphasize here.
Ma'am, can we say use case also one of the object?
See, here I am not talking about use case diagrams. Here I am talking about interaction diagrams. In interaction diagrams, the flow control is given between the objects. In activity diagrams, the flow control is given between the activities. See, whereas use case diagrams, we are going to segregate each flow control as an use case. There we are not showing any flow control there. Each flow control sequence of steps, we are saying it as use case. Okay, so there is lots of difference between here. The flow control between objects means interaction diagrams. Flow control between activity to activity means they are activity diagrams. And these activity diagrams are just like ER diagrams. You remember this point. Then easily you can understand. Because already you have an idea about what are ER diagrams and all. Okay, so here let's see an example of an activity diagram. So the same representations of ER diagram we can take. So initial state, it's a solid bullet, or we can say, and the final state, the bullet with the rounded circle. So that is start and stop, or we say initial and final states. That's how we represent in the activity diagrams. Okay. And each of this rounded rectangle, what we have studied in basic building blocks, what exactly it is? It's a state machine. State machine. So here we are calling these as action states. So each state here can be either an action or activity that we are going to study in detail in the terminology. For now, you just concentrate on the diagram that each one is a state. Okay, so the first state, in order to do some construction, once we start the process, so the first step in the process of construction, first you need to select the site. Selecting a site is the state there. Okay, and then that is the action state. And then architect. So approaching the architect and what plan you want and what plan he have given, so and start developing according to that plan. And bid plan means you are going to construct accordingly. Okay, and here we are doing some decision. Is the plan what you want to implement, is it okay for you, or still you want to do any modifications? If it is not accepted, if you feel that the plan what is given is not according to your choice, so then again you can send back saying that just do the changes what we want, and once that is okay, then only we start constructing by going to the site of work and to trade the work, start doing all the activities there, and then finally we finish the construction, and that construction it has to be finally certified. Okay, so this is how we give the flow and branching for a particular flow control between the activities, or each state, either it can be activity or action state. Okay, so this is the example what we can say about the activity diagrams. Okay, so let's move on to the details of this chapter. So the first part is about the terminology, terms and concepts. So the basic concept of activity diagram is nothing but it's a flow control from activity to activity. Remember that clearly, activity to activity, and that activity can be action state or activity state. Okay, and graphically it's nothing but the diagram collection of vertices and arcs. Our vertices are nothing but the different states and arcs are nothing but the relationship what we see. Okay, and these relationships, the connection between two states, we call it as transition. The connection between two objects, we call it as link. Here, the connection, the flow, what we give from one state to another, we just call it as transition. Okay, so the next one, common properties. How exactly, what are the properties of this activity diagram? So just now we have seen the example. So by seeing the example, you can clearly make out the contents. What are the different contents of that activity diagram we have seen? That is activity states or action states or transitions. Okay, if needed, objects also we are going to show. Okay, so by seeing the contents itself, it can be distinguished from the other diagrams. Okay, when different action or activity states are there and then flow control is given, and for that activity flow control where we have start and stop. So by seeing all these contents in a particular diagram, we can see it as a activity diagram. Okay, so those are the things what we can say under common properties. And then coming to the contents, what exactly are the contents of our activity diagram if we see? These are the action or activity states. Okay, and as I told you, the connection between two states is called as transition. Never we say as relationships. Under classes we told that classes and their relationships. But here we should say the terminology related to the diagrams. So in activity we call the relationship as transition. Okay, and for any state, if that state is depending on any of the object, so even the objects also can be shown in the activity diagram. So those are the contents. So activity states and action states. Transition is nothing but the link what we give between the two states, and objects if necessary we are going to show. So those are the contents in the activity diagrams. So then moving on to the next one, that is about what exactly are these action states or activity state. Okay, so what in general we say it as an action. So an action, it can be a verb, some kind of action you are going to perform, or some thing you are going to do in some short period of time. So that is what we call it as action state. So the state of the particular object or the state of some scenario when we are talking about. So when we call it as an action state, when that state cannot be decomposed further. When a state cannot be decomposed further. So such thing we call it as atomic. Okay, and then they cannot be interrupted, because in short course of time it is going to happen. That is what action state. Okay, so action state, these states of the system representing the execution of an action, and action states cannot be decomposed. Okay, so that's why we say them action states as atomic. Atomic means they cannot be further decomposed. They are already at the simplest state. Okay, and that events may occur and but the work of action state is not interrupted. Okay, and then if you see the examples here, so midday plan, doing some small action of what plan you have planned, and then some expression, so how much time it is taken to execute this expression. So these things we call it as actions. Okay, in small period of time, what is happening and which cannot be further decomposed and nobody can interrupt that. Okay, and the state which cannot be not interrupted. So which happens within short period of time. Okay, so consider take insignificant of execution time. So such things we call it as action states. Okay, and whereas moving on to activity state. So activity means they are not atomic. Not atomic means they can be further decomposed, and if any interruption can be allowed in order to accomplish that purpose of that state. So such things we call it as activity states. And activity states, they may take a bit longer period of time, maybe 4 months, 6 months, 1 year, and number of years. Okay, so let's see the examples here. Construction. So construction of any building or anything when we are talking about, so that is an activity which takes some course of time to accomplish that purpose. Okay, and processing a bill. So when the bill can be processed, when the entire construction things are over, or there is some procedure in order to process a bill which takes time. Okay, so again I repeat the details of action and activity states. Action is something which happens in insignificant of time, in a short period of time, whereas activity takes time. Okay, and action we call it as atomic. Atomic means which cannot be decomposed, whereas action, it can be decomposed. Decomposed means it can have the subparts, it can be divided into the subparts. Okay, and action, it may not be interrupted, it itself is happening in short span of time. Okay, in that time no interruptions are allowed there, but whereas activity, since long duration of time it's taking, so if anything is needed to do accomplish that purpose, so even the things of interaction can be allowed there. Okay, so that is the main difference between activity and action states. So all of you please make a note of it, what is action and activity. Still if you have doubt you can ask me now. And don't tell me when we are doing activity diagrams for the practical, and then you should have a clarity about which state you should take as action, which state you should take as activity. Okay, is that clear, or you want me to repeat anything? Yes, respond. Hello.
Once repeat, ma'am.
Repeat. So here action means which will happen just in 1 second of time, very short period of time, insignificant time. Action. Activity, it takes time, maybe 6 months, 1 year, or maybe 1 month, like that, some significant time we can say. Okay, and action states we say them as atomic. Okay, when we say atomic states, so that means it cannot be further decomposed. Further means, see, if you have a big problem, then you can subdivide, no? So it is already a small problem which cannot be further divided. Such things we call it as action states. Whereas activity, it's a bigger one, it takes time, and it can be decomposed within that course of 6 months time, what I should do in first month, second month. So like that it can be divided. That is what we call it as activity states. Okay, is that clear now? What is action and activity now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then moving on to the next one, transition. So just now I was telling you before this terminology. So the connection, the flow control, whatever you are giving between two states, we call it as transition. No more we say a relation or a link or anything. Not even the relationship between activity or action state also you should not say. It should be specific terminology that it is a transition. Is that clear? And here when we say triggerless transition means whatever the state we are saying here, select a site. Once that complete decision of selecting a site is done, and that flow control is when it is hand over to the next state to carry out. By finishing the task whatever is there in the previous state, completely finishing its state there, and then transferring the control to the next state to carry out. So in that thing we call it as triggerless transition. So it's something like this. So person 1 and person 2. Okay, person 1 doing the job assigned to him completely finished. Then only he can transfer the control to the next person, asking him that my job is done, you please continue with the next for the further. So in that case we call it as triggerless transition. Just transition means it's the flow control between one state to another. But when one state is completely doing its work and transferring the control to the next person, then we call it as triggerless transition. Okay, and selecting site and commission architect, these states we call them as action states. Okay, and this representation of start and stop states. So for every activity diagram you need to give this. Okay, so this is about transition. Okay, and then moving on to the next terminology, that is about branching. See, not only the flow control transferred from one activity to other activity, but when the control have to be transferred, so maybe based on some condition, it needs to take branching. Okay, so at that time the branching topic will come into picture in flow control. Okay, as in the flow chart we can include branch which specifies that if there are alternate paths, if there is only one path, directly we give the transition. If there are alternate paths to more than one paths are there, then we give the decision box. So that is what we call it as branching. Okay, and see here the diamond symbol what we use. So the same thing here also we use for activity diagrams, what we name it as branch. And not only that, for a decision box we give condition. We give condition within the decision box. But here in UML, though we represent that, but the condition won't be given in the decision box, but those conditions we give on the branching transitions as like messages. And we don't say condition here. The terminology for a condition for decision box, we call it as guard condition or guard expression. See, the concepts are same, but only the terminologies vary. Okay? So in ER diagrams we say as condition, but here we say guard expression. And there we write within the box, here we write as a message on the flow control. Okay, so this from the decision box, it takes this way of flow control when the materials are ready, and it takes this branching side when the materials are not ready. Okay, so let's see this example here. So the work is starting for release work order. Okay, maybe day-to-day daily wages people. So as soon as they go for the work, so some work will be assigned for them. Okay, so based on the work assigned to them, so the category of the workers will be divided based on what a work is assigned. If the material is ready for them to do, so they can start working on what task is assigned to them. If the material is not ready, they keep on waiting, reschedule, they are waiting there. So that is, material is not ready is the guard condition what we can say. Okay, so that is what the flow control can give branching by giving the guard condition. And then forking and joining. So the next terminology is about forking and joining. So first of all, what is fork? So in day-to-day life, in order to eat some eatables, we use forks, right? So fork when you handle, okay, in the right position, so it will be a single line and end you have 3 or 4. So in the same way, when a process, you just imagine that the single handle what we hold is a process, and that process is, when it is subdividing into n number of processes, then we call it as forking. Again I repeat, when you hold the fork in your hand at the handle side, so that handle represents a single process, and at the end you have number of lines over there, yes or no? At the end of the fork you can see. So that those are called as number of processes. So single process is dividing into number of processes. So that's why the terminology is given as forking. Whereas joining, when you keep the fork upside down, okay, up you will have number of the things pointing there. So the number of processes when they are joined together to form a single process, then we call it as joining. Okay, so the same thing here, the example is given. So just concentrate here, again I will explain here. So when one single process is subdivided into more than one process, so here this process is divided into 2, so that is what we call it as forking. So here a single process is divided into 2, single process is dividing into 2, so that is what forking. And when 2 process we are joining it into 1, then we call it as joining. Okay, so here the example of the activity diagram for preparing for a speech, so that is the state there. And whenever we are doing forking and joining, so synchronization bar we see. So this solid lines whatever you are seeing here in this diagram, these are called as synchronization bars. By using synchronization bar only, we can show that whether a single process, if it is dividing into more than one process, that can be shown by using synchronization bar, and that we say it as forking. And one process when it is dividing it into 2, so that can be shown by using synchronization bar only. That is what we call it as joining. When 2 are being joined to as one process, that is through synchronization bar. That is what we call it as joining. Okay.
Data.
So
Yes.
yes ma. Yes, please mute yourself. Mute yourself. If you have any doubt, you can ask. But I'm getting some disturbance there. Please mute yourself. Hello, still. Mute yourself. Okay. So now if you see the example here, so prepare for speech. When you are preparing to give a speech, what are the things need to be taken care? So what exactly you want to speak? Okay, that is decompress of. So synchronization of your mouth and what you are talking, the coordination should be there. And not only that, the coordination of your gesture, the position, how you are standing. So all these will be considered when you give a speech. So while you are preparing for speech, so you need to think of all this, and everything have to be coordinated in a proper way. Okay, so preparation of speech can be decomposed, this flow control can be decomposed into 2. So first, that one is the position. Okay, and decompress. So this again is dividing into two. What is that? Synchronization of your mouth and what word you are talking accordingly. So the moment what you are talking, it have to be coordinated. And stream audio, what you are talking, the voice and everything have to be coordinated. See, in movies and all, when they are doing dubbing or so they see the synchronization, right? So it's something like this. And finally, even they have to be combined, and finally they clean up that speech, what they have recorded, it has to be done properly. Okay, so in this scenario, they are showing the forking and joining examples here. Okay, so this is about forking and joining. And then moving on to swim lanes. See, in a particular flow control, if only one flow control is there, directly we can show. But if when we take about a business, so in a particular business, you may have n number of flows. How the order management have to be taken, the financial things have to be taken, shipping have to be taken care. So each one will be a flow again. Okay, so in a business case or the flow of in a business process, there are many activities, many flow controls. Each flow control we can say it as a group, and each group we call it as a swim lane. The locus of activities we call it as a swim lane. Okay, so why exactly they are saying it as a swim lane here? See, whenever swimming competitions are going, so they keep the track, right? Okay, so they have some particular block to take care. So within that only, that is a context or limit for them. So similarly here, for a particular business, so each group will be taking care of one flow control. Okay, say suppose the example if you see here, customer, sales and warehouse. Okay, so this is an example of some order management you think. So customer is the one who is going to request for a product. Okay, and he is the one who is going to request a product, and he will order for that product, and he will get that product, and he have to pay for that. So that is the flow of the customer. And whereas sales with respect to system, so what the salesperson will do, whatever the request is done, so that request is taken care, and he will process that. And processing of bill he will take care, and once he pays that, he will close that order. Okay, so that is one lane we say. And then moving on to warehouse. So warehouse is something like the database. So for whatever the product the customer is requesting and the salesperson is processing that order, they need to check whether it is available or not. Okay, if it is available, they have to pull that material and they have to ship that order to the customer. Okay, so that is all taken care in this lane of warehouse. So each lane is doing one task, one flow control. Maybe the coordination is there between the side blocks, that is side swim lanes. Maybe if at all we are talking about sales swim lane, so it is the coordination between the customer and warehouse. But what exactly that salesperson is doing, so that is one flow control what we say. So in a business case, again I repeat, in a business case, whenever there we have more than one flow control, so each flow control is taken as a swim lane, as a group. Okay, so the coordination of these groups as swim lanes, then we get the complete activity diagram for that business process. Okay, so let's see this example now here. So here, who is the initiator starting that activity, the flow control for a business case? First, customer. So customer is starting. So the initial person who is initiating that activity should be given in first in the diagram. Okay, and starting initial state also it should be specified. So as a customer, he will first request for the product. Okay, and the flow control here is, it is getting dividing into two. So that's why using a synchronization bar, the flow control, whatever is there, 1, so that will be dividing into 2. Okay, so the division, the flow control will be transferred to the salesperson, and the salesperson, he will be taking care of processing of that order. And after he process, the flow control will be transferred to the warehouse in order to check the status of the product ordered is available or not. If it is available, they pull the material and that flow will be given to the ship order state. Okay, and ship order and the request, even these two flow controls have to be synchronized. So now here this one flow control and ship order flow control is now being joined. So simply you cannot say it's joined. So you using synchronization bar, these two flow controls have to be joined as one. Okay, and once this is done, the coordination of these two need to be done. That is what it means for joining means. And after joining, so again these are again subdivided. So what? So the customer will receive the order and salesperson will prepare the bill. And again these two need to be again synchronized, joined, and the bill will be given to the customer. And he will pay the bill, and finally the salesperson is going to close, and then we show the final state as finish state or end state of that activity. Okay, so this is how we are going to draw the activity diagrams. If it is a business scenario, using swim lanes, clearly they'll specify in the case study. Using swim lanes means you have to use swim lanes and draw the activity diagram. If they don't specify, simply using one flow control by taking the decision boxes, maybe a simpler one, then you can do a general activity diagram just like ER diagram. But when they specify swim lanes, exactly taking swim lanes, you have to draw the diagram. Okay, so this is the example for swim lanes. And then moving on to the next one, so that is object flow. When the activity here we are talking what exactly who are doing what and how the flow control have to be transferred and all. But when you are doing your projects, so you are creating the front pages. Okay, after you enter the data, where it has to go, how you are linking them, who are exactly taking care of that data. So are we not linking all the process to each and everything, how the flow has to be done? Okay, so similarly here, when this activity have to be developed and when it has to be automated, when you have to develop some project, so where exactly the logical things are incurred, where exactly you need the objects. So that is what we call it as object flow. So the example what we have studied, so in this scenario, in order to do the process, see whatever the customer is ordering for a particular product, so that product will be taken as an instance, as some object. Okay, what is the initial state of that object? Maybe requesting for that product. And then here that product have to be processed. Okay, so that is where we need the object flow also. And then that product, what it should happen? It should move to the shipping. So it is ordered and that shipping status is filled. And then once this activity is done, so then it comes to billing. So billing unpaid when it is prepaid by the salesperson. But when it comes to customer, the status of that billing will be paid. Okay, so the activity flow what you have learned, when it has to be automated, logically where all you need the objects and each object status we are talking about. So that is what the object flow we are saying here. Okay, so that is about the object flow in the activity diagrams. And then moving on to common uses. So where exactly we use these activity diagrams? So we use to model a workflow. When we want to show some workflow, so then we are going to use this activity diagrams. And we can also use for in order to model an operation. Okay, so these are the two uses. So that is about the first part of this chapter. Moving on to the second part, common modeling techniques. So in any diagrams chapter, many times I told you, whatever are the uses, the same uses will be repeated in common modeling techniques too. Okay, so the first one is about modeling a workflow. So we'll see with examples and how we model this workflow. Okay, in order to model a workflow, some workflow when you want to do, what exactly you have to first concentrate on? You should first establish the focus for that workflow. What exactly workflow they want, what are the things involved in that. Okay, what are the different states, whether they're activity or action states, or based on either a single flow or multiple flow, is there any decision box, and based on that decision box we'll think of the guard conditions. Okay, initial state and final states. And if it is a business process, we'll concentrate on the swim lanes, and once the swim lanes are done, any object flow we need to show for that, flow control. So all the things can be taken care. Okay, so that is what the preliminary things what we have to do before drawing the diagram. So let's see an example here, retail business. So in order to do a retail business, so what are all the groups we can think of? So the first person is nothing but customer who uses that system. So that's why in the swim lane, so the first block it comes with the customer. Okay, and then sales. Why? Because customer is going to book a product. So the first person who is going to take care of the booked product, the salesperson. Okay, so then comes the accounting and then comes the warehouse. Okay, so here the customer is the group in the retail business who is going to start the activity. So that is why we have to give the initial state with a solid bullet. Okay, from there the activity starts and the customer is going to request return. So this scenario is for returning an object, I think. So let's concentrate here. So retail business which specifies the workflow involved when a customer returns an item from a mail order. Okay, when he wants to return a product back, so that is what the scenario here. So the customer requests for return and salesperson gets the return request and he'll prepare a number. Okay, and then he has to ship back the item. So when the customer wants to give back the item, so he has to ship the item back. So then the warehouse will receive the item and again they have to restock it and then credit the account. So for whatever the item they have billed, so again once when he returns back the product, the amount have to be credited back to the customer. So that is the scenario here. Okay, and each state will comes under which swim lane. So accordingly we have to keep, and then the transfer of flow control have to be given. And once that is given, so object flow also we need to taken care. So here the object flow, it's written, and again the object flow in shipping, it is that whatever the product is returned back to the stock, now it shows as available. Okay, so this is about modeling a workflow. And then moving on to the second common modeling technique, that is about modeling an operation. So when we operation, Okay, say suppose just see this example here. So this is finding out an intersecting value. So when two lines are intersecting at a point, when you want to find out that coordinate values of x comma y. Okay, so first we check the slopes. If the slopes are equal, then it's nothing but 0 comma 0. If slopes are different, then we are going to calculate x value and calculate y value, and then we are going to return the point as x comma y. Okay, so that is a scenario given for a particular operation. Okay, so for an operation, all the things. So what exactly it is involved? What is the abstraction of that operation? What exactly it has to do? Are there any pre and post conditions? What are the initial states? What are the final states? Okay, so and is there any decision boxes? Are there any branching? So keeping these concepts in view, so we need to proceed further for drawing the diagram. Okay, so I have explained you the diagram just now. So that is about finding the intersecting point of two lines. Suppose for this same example, the third part is about forward and reverse engineering. So we know what is forward engineering. Whatever the diagram we are drawing, that is called a model. So from a model, if you can get the code, then that is called forward engineering. So now this is our model. Okay. So from this model, when you do forward engineering for this model, you need to get a code. So let's see that now. So we were talking about line intersection. Okay, and this is the operation what we are doing. So within that operation, what exactly we are doing? First we are checking the slopes. First we are checking the slopes. If the slopes are equal, return point 0 comma 0 origin. So is it not the same thing what we are given in the model here? If the slopes are equal, we are returning that point. In the else case, what we are writing? If the slopes are equal, this is what we are written. Okay. And the other, so this here ends this if block. Okay. So the next line, the flow control will be taken care of each statements next. So next x is equal to. So here we are calculating. Here we are calculating x is equal to the delta differences we will take and the slope values. That is how we calculate x. And what is y here? So y is nothing but slope into x plus delta values, and then we are returning the points x comma y. So however we have given in the graphical notation, however the formula for calculating x and calculating y is given, so only those things will be taken care. So that's how a model will be forward engineered in order to get a code. I hope all of you, it's clear now what is forward engineering and what exactly it is doing. Okay. Similarly, reverse engineering is nothing but the code whatever you have. If you provide this code to the system or the tool, so then in turn it is going to give you the model. Nothing but the diagram we are going to get back. That is what reverse engineering. Okay. So these are the concepts and the details of activity diagrams what I wanted to cover in today's class.